It's good morning for you, Siski Kalla. Welcome to Yellow Shelf.
Welcome. Thank you very much for the welcome. Yeah, it's very early in the morning here. The sun's just starting to come up.
Yeah, very early for you in the UK. Thank you for joining us. You have two children's books out tomorrow, as we record here now. Congratulations. It's the Urban Wildlife Explorers book series. Tell us about these two newest books.
Right, so we've got Let's Explore Pigeons coming out, and also Let's Explore Hedgehogs. Um, so these two are follow-up books to the other three Let's Explore books that I published, all in the Urban Wildlife Explorer series. Um, and I'm particularly excited about these two because I think both the animals are possibly a little bit controversial in the sense that pigeons, you either love them or you hate them, and hedgehogs, similarly. I mean, in the Australasia,
Yes.
mega pest,
Yes.
whereas here and in Europe, they're, these treasured little
Loved.
animals.
Yeah.
So I think they're both very interesting animals to explore because, our relationships with them are so different depending on where you are in the world.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? And I guess it helps with curiosity, whether you've grown up in a family of conceived ideas or thoughts around particular animals. It's a wonderful way to learn about these animals in the books.
Yeah. I
Where are
mean,
you
I mean,
pitching?
I'm pitching it mainly in the UK. So it has UK specific organizations mentioned at the back. And the language is British English, not North American. Um,
And what
but
age
it's
group? What
applicable to the
age
whole of
group would you?
four to
Okay, four
eight,
to
yeah.
eight. Awesome. Yeah.
But also the way that the books have been designed, I tried a bit of a different approach because with nonfiction books, often they're very text heavy
Sure.
or they're very sparse in text when you have narrative nonfiction. And I wanted to do a combination of both so people could read the story or read the text quickly or do a more in-depth dive. So what I did was I asked my designer to come up with a way of having bigger text that could be read on its own. You can read the whole book,
Yeah.
looking at various questions about hedgehogs or pigeons, and enjoy it without reading the smaller text that's much more in depth and advanced. So you could read the books with a 4-year-old and they would be able to understand everything if you go with the bigger text. And
Yes.
then older children would be able to get much more information out of the smaller text. Because I really wanted, I worry a little bit with some books, children's books, that when we try to hit a specific age group,
Yeah.
some kids who are older will enjoy it and some kids who are
Yeah.
younger will get things out of it as well. So I wanted it to be usable for a wide variety.
Yeah.
Also because my children were in state school up until the age of about 11, 12, but then they were home educated.
Yes.
And something I became aware of with textbooks and nonfiction books in general, that when you've got two children of different ages, it's tricky to find books that will entertain and
Yeah.
educate at both their levels. So that was the idea behind this series.
Yeah, very clever and very considered that. I noticed in the book series there's books on ducks, moths, snails, like lots of different animals that we get exposed to either in the garden or around us.
Yeah.
Do you want to sort of tell us about where do you get the inspiration to write the books and choose the particular animals? Is there a method?
Yeah. I wouldn't say there's a method exactly, but I am a huge fan of the underdog.
Okay.
Um, so, I feel in general in the wildlife world, we're all about the big, fluffy,
Yes.
often white animals, the polar bears, panda bears, penguins,
Yeah.
visually striking animals.
Sure.
But animals often that, well, I think probably most of us don't see on a day-to-day basis. Whereas, living in a city, I'm amazed at how much wildlife there is around, but people feel like they don't have contact with wildlife, but it's
Yeah.
right here on the doorstep. But they are things that a lot of people aren't exactly enamored with. I mean, snails, for example, I do quite a lot of events at schools and libraries. And often I'll say, do you like snails? And so many children say no, they're disgusting.
Yeah.
And I think moths the same,
True.
moths can be as beautiful as butterflies,
Yes.
colorful, gorgeous patterns. And the ones that aren't colorful have these intricate, detailed, patterns on them that are just amazing. And they're amazing creatures to learn about. But because we have a different kind of viewpoint of moths, we don't see them as pollinators, even though that they
True.
are. They bang on the windows at night, they get in our clothes.
Clothes.
So I feel like I'm drawn towards the animals that are generally looked down upon and seen
Yeah.
as pests. And obviously the Let's Explore Pigeons books,
Yeah.
that's very much because people either seem to hate them or love them. It's a real Marmite situation where there is no kind of in between. And so I really wanted to be able to produce a book or series of books for children who live in cities, urban settings, which is most of them. I think it's like
Oh,
90% of children, so that they could learn a little bit more about the animals that are right there on their doorsteps. Because I also believe that once we understand something and once we have more knowledge of an animal or a plant or a person, we care about it more.
true.
You can't really care about something if you know nothing about it.
Yeah.
So the idea behind the books was to introduce children and their families to what's right in front of them
Yeah.
and to help them appreciate that, yes, care for the pandas and care for the polar bears,
Yeah.
but also care for the hedgehogs and the pigeons and the snails that are
Yeah.
right there. So that was really, what I wanted to do with the books.
Yeah. And Siski, you write the books and you're an illustrator. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that's actually how I got into children's books.
Yeah.
I got in via the illustration side of things. And as I was illustrating other people's books, I thought, why not illustrate my own stories and my own books? But getting into nonfiction is quite an unusual
Sure.
path for aspiring children's authors and illustrators.
Yeah.
Because I think most of us remember from our childhoods, we probably remember and treasure the fictional stories.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't remember any non-fiction books from when I
Yeah.
was a child.
True.
But I think that's really changing now. I think there are so many amazing, incredible storytellers telling stories with facts woven in.
Yeah.
So I think that's what drew me to go in the non-fiction route. And being able to illustrate it myself just makes the whole
Yeah.
process so much easier in the sense that I don't have to try to explain what I'm looking for in an
Mm.
illustration. And same with the words, I can get rid of some words if I don't like them.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm illustrating a book for somebody else and I don't know, there's too much text on a
Yeah.
page, obviously I can't say to the author,
Yeah.
well, I think we should get rid of those words.
Yeah.
So it's a really lovely process for
Yeah.
me to be able to do both
Yeah.
because I can really think, this is the information that I want to put on this page. So how am I going to illustrate that? And then make the words really match the illustrations as well. And I love painting.
Yeah.
It's such a therapeutic process.
Yeah.
The watercolor on the page.
They're
So
beautiful too. They're stunning.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
absolutely love illustrating. I love children's picture books. That's how I got into children's books was because I was reading to my daughter. Each time we'd read, I'd look at the pictures and just be like, I want this on my wall. I want to see these
Yeah.
beautiful scenes everywhere. So then I started kind of, painting myself, and that's
Yeah.
how I got into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. Um, I'm going to put in the show notes here how to connect with you, how to connect with the books. You're based in the UK, but you've got a website. So do you want to point us in the direction of any of your socials that maybe we should take a look at if we're
Sure.
curious?
Sure. So my website is siskikalla.illustration.com. And on there, I have various information about me, about my books, also school visits, and also if you're an author who wants to self-publish, how I work with self-publishing authors.
Yeah.
And then on Instagram, Siski Kalla Illustration, the same on TikTok, although I'm not so active on TikTok.
Yeah.
Um, and on Facebook, it's Siski Kalla Illustration as well.
Okay, great.
Um, so yeah, those are the main places. But people can email me if they have any questions, sign up to my newsletter where I give away freebies and free art and,
Yes.
printouts to go with the books. So yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. All that information is on the website anyway. So I'll put some various links in to make it easy for anyone watching around the world. We have all different ages watching, but we also have people who purchase kids' books. So I'll put that in the show notes. Siski, thank you so much for joining us today. All the best with the book launch.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Cheers.